This is Karen and welcome to another card making tutorial at dolallycrafts. 안녕하세요, dolallycrafts Karen입니다. Okay, this is the card that we're making today. I'm starting my Christmas cards and I'm really pleased with the way this one turned out. You can make this with limited supplies. I'm just saying that at the output. Now, the layout itself is just a starting point for your own cards. As I said, you could make this with limited supplies, e.g. just Stampin' Right markers for the tree and the sentiment and the inside sentiment. However, because I have the supplies and I am going to be sending these cards out to family and friends overseas, I wanted to bling it up a little bit. So what I have done, I used gold embossing powder here, and you could use either a red or a green ribbon to go with the background colours, or as I've done, I've got some of this old Whisper White and gold ribbon that I'm going to be using just to add that extra bit of bling. It's got a couple of rhinestones on it, but other than that, it's a very basic card to make. All the supplies can be found on my blog. All of the supplies can be found, apart from the ribbon, in my online store. Okay, sizes and everything. As you can see, I'm using an old card that went wonky when I was cutting it. So it's actually just one sheet of cardstock, of DSP for the background. I'm stepping it up a little bit from this one. I'm just reversing it, and yeah, all it is one piece of cardstock, and this is from the 6x6. I'm trying to remember the name of the pack. I do have it here. It's called Wrapped in Plaid, and it's available in this year's August-December catalogue. There's so many different patterns in here. 48 sheets, I do believe, of I don't know how many different patterns. I didn't go through it. The combination of colours are Cherry Cobbler, Night of Navy, Shaded Spruce and Whisper White. Now, I did use real red, I think, in part of it, but it doesn't really matter. Now, as I said, it's limited supplies. This card can be made with the Triangle stamp set and the, not that one, and the stitched triangle dies. Now, you can't actually buy these as a bundle, but you can buy the right triangle stamp set to go with the stitched triangle dies, and the triangle is actually an add-on. You don't necessarily need the dies. It makes it a little bit easier. But as you can see, all of these, and even this one here, when you put it together, form triangles. So they're just straight cuts that you can do in your paper trimmer, or with a pair of scissors. You don't need the die set for this. When I originally bought it, I didn't buy it with the dies. I actually bought the dies later with the other bundle. But as I said, this is a really good one to have in your Christmas supplies, because it's got the sentiments. It's got some really nice little graphics that you can use, and it goes really well with the plaid set. So all I'm going to do, I like the old, I think they were called dado rails in the really old houses in the Victorian or Edwardian era, and how they had like a dado wall with stripes down the bottom and then either a pattern up top or just plain walls. And I think that gives you a throwback to the older times, and I really like that look. Now I'm also bringing in my rectangle stitched framelits dies, but once again you can just use your paper trimmer to trim out a rectangle for this to sit on like that one does. So I'm just going to move that to the side where I can see it so I know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to do this without any errors this time. So let's see how we go. Okay, I have my rectangle stuck down to a scrap of the plaid paper stock, DSP. Now I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy and give this a good pat down with this so that I've got plenty of powder on there to get rid of any oil or static that might be on there. I have the tall graphic of a Christmas tree from the triangle, from the triangle set. I'm just going to pop that down, and then I'm going to, if I can, I need to get a bigger container for my gold powder. I really do. Okay, scissors. I know I had them here a minute ago. Never mind, we will use the big set. Okay, I'm just going to trim this roughly so that I can just dip it in the powder. Okay, very carefully so that I don't smudge the image. Okay, that came out really well. And I'm going to also, while I'm here with the paper, give this a bit of a pat down, trim it out like so, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that goes on the front of the card at the same time. Okay, so we'll get that covered. Okay, just get rid of those excess pieces that came up. I did have my paintbrush around, but it's disappeared off my table. So goodness knows where it is. And the last thing I want to do is bring in the card base. Now I did have it here. There it is, it's under everything else. Okay, and I'm going to bring the card base in and pat it down. I may as well get everything done at once. So pat the card base down, bring in the sentiment that I want to cover, and that way I can get everything done at once. Make sure it's the right way up. It is. Stamp that down. We'll pop some embossing powder over the top. And I'm just going to move those excess bits with my finger. There we go. I love the fonts in this set. This is from Christmas is what I used for the sentiment. So sorry, it's not just a one stamp set. This is the Wrapped in Christmas, and I think it's part of the plaid set, and it's got Peace on Earth, and it's the most wonderful time of the year, and I love the fonts in this. There's some great sentiments in there too. Anyway, we'll bring in the heat gun. Right, in with the powder bag. Sorry, I was hoping to get all of this done in one fell swoop. Best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. Isn't that the saying? It is in this house anyway. Okay, pop that down, in with the embossing powder again, and we'll just give this a quick... The only thing I forgot was the trunk of the tree, but it just doesn't, it looks like it's just a triangle sitting there in the middle of everything else, unless you have the tree trunk. So I'll just give that a quick zap. There we go. And there's no die for that, but it's easy enough just to trim out with your scissors. There they are. Okay, so we'll just trim this out before it goes through the die cutter. There we go. So there's our tree trunk. Going to pop this on, and while we wait for the new magnetic plate to come out for the Stampin' Cut and Emboss, I think that's what it's called. I hope it is. It's what I'm calling it at the moment anyway. Okay, just pop that over to hold it all in place. And now, where's my other piece that I had before? My piece of paper is around here. Okay, I will be back in a moment and I'll have all of that cut out. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I have all my die cut pieces ready to go. So now we're going to put this card together. Okay, I will start by adhering my bottom layering piece, which is the stripes. And I'm using the wrong one. This is the Stampin' seal, which is supposed to be for cardstock on cardstock. Here we go, just the Stampin' seal. So I'll just pop this down. I'm still getting used to how to use this. You're supposed to draw it down and then just lift it straight up. Okay, now, I don't know if anybody else out there watches Kathy Zilski. She's a designer. And I love this hack that she puts out. This is how she lines up her cards so that they are square with the patterned paper. She pops them into the corner, pops the patterned paper on top, and just gives it a good press down. And there you go. You know it's in the right area. So I'm going to, and you know it's going to be square on the card. Okay, in with this next piece. I'll do it off the school tool. Oh, I'm still trying to get the hang of it. Straight up, draw it down, straight up, and you can't see anything I'm doing there. So you draw it down, straight up, and it's supposed to cut it just right. So back in with the scoreboard, and I'm just going to place the top of the card in that corner, bring in the cardstock, press it down, and there we go. Now I've just got to trim off the two edges. It's supposed to be 4 1/8, and I know I cut the DSP to the right size, but for some reason the card's just a little bit too big, so I'm going to trim a 1/16 of it off both sides so that we don't have any white showing. And all I'm doing is moving it to the edge of the track, lining up the edge of the card at the edge of the track, and it's just taking that 1/16 of an inch off. And then I know, yes, my card is fine now, although for some reason, oh yeah, it's fine. It's just my eyesight. I really do need to wear my glasses while I'm making these cards. I'm just going to flatten the edges there. Okay, so we've got our card base done. Bring in all of our layering pieces. Now, I did decide that unlike this one that was just on the backing there, I wanted to put some gold underneath the layering piece. I did have some gold here. Pop that away. Bring in our layering piece again. And let's put some Stampin' Seal on the back. Okay. I could have used the next rectangle up for sizing, but it was just as easy to use my paper trimmer. Okay, in with our Christmas tree and some dimensionals. And we're just going to pop some dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to cut one of the dimensionals in half. And pop that up the top there. And then we need another small dimensional on the back of this one. Like that. Okay, now we can mount this. And we'll bring that in. I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit from the top and pop that in there. Bring in our tree trunk and just pop that down the bottom there. Okay, and then bring in, here we go, they were off to the side. I'm just going to bring in one of the bright red stars, or one of the bright red gemstones from the Holiday Rhinestone pack. And I'm just going to pop that at the top of my tree for something different. Now this is going to sit here, but what I did last time was bring the ribbon around. I've cut way too much for this card, but that's okay. I'm going to bring that over there, and I'm going to try very carefully to do a square knot, and it didn't work, but that knot's okay. So I'm going to trim that one and trim that one, and then bring in my glue dots, and I'm going to take a glue dot, if I can find the end of them. Okay, take a glue dot off there, and I pop that just underneath the knot, and that will hold the knot in place so that it doesn't come undone, because it is a bit wider, this ribbon. Another one there just to hold that in place, and also so that the ribbon doesn't actually slide off your card. Okay, I've got a little bit of fluff on that one, and that one under there. There we go. So we know the ribbon's in place. I'm just going to trim that down a bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with some dimensionals and pop them. One here and one here for centre support. And then one in each corner on the back here. Just lift that one up and move it over. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's a straight line down the side there. Press that down. I've got to bring the tail of that ribbon out like so. Ah! and it moved over. Okay, straighten it up, press it down. There we go. That's actually straight now. Yes, it is. And the last thing to do is just pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of the sentiment. Now this is sitting a bit lower than that one, so instead of popping the sentiment down the bottom, I might actually pop it to the side there, like so. So off with the backing. I know I'm going to end up with dimensional backings everywhere. I found one in the shower the other day. I don't know where it had been stuck to me, but it had been stuck somewhere. Now I'm using the gold line on the paper to make sure that I have my sentiment straight, and I actually like it there. I'm going to come back in with my rhinestones, and I'm going to scatter just a couple of the red ones around. I'll pop one there, one off the top there. Actually, I might put a larger one on the off the top there. There's one there, and I might do a couple just down here. One there and one there. There we go. So there's the outside of the card. It's a very dark one compared to this, but I like it. I do. I really think plaid looks really lovely for Christmas, especially with the touch of gold. Okay, open up inside, and it's decorated inside as well. Well, I hope you liked today's card and you'll take some inspiration from it and go ahead and make this into something that you would do as well. Okay, that's enough from me for today, and I will see you in the next card making video. Annyeong, have a great week. Bye bye.